Prepare to rethink everything you thought you knew. This is Mind Benders, your source for the most mind-twisting facts that will expand your understanding of the world. Let's bend some minds.
Open On, a mesmerizing, hyper-detailed CGI shot of neural pathways firing inside a translucent brain. The electrical impulses travel like lightning through a vast cosmic web. You are a marvel of decision-making. In the last minute alone, you've made hundreds of choices. To keep reading, to shift your weight, the rhythm of your own breath. You are the pilot, the captain of your ship, the master of your own destiny, or so you believe. We navigate the world with a comforting sense of agency. We believe we are the authors of our thoughts, the architects of our actions. But what if that feeling of control is just a story? A clever, compelling illusion crafted by the real boss, the 3-pound universe of silent, automatic processing humming away between your ears? What if the conscious you is the last one to know what's really going on? On screen, Dr. Aris Thorne, a sharp neuro-philosopher in his late 40s, stands in a minimalist studio with large screens displaying brain activity behind him. Dr. Thorne, welcome to Mind Benders. Over the next 6 parts, we're embarking on a journey into the deepest mystery of human existence. Are we truly in charge of our own lives? For centuries, this was a question for philosophers and poets. They debated free will versus determinism, with logic and reason. But today, we have the tools to peek behind the curtain. Neuroscience is allowing us to witness the ghost in the machine in real time. And what we're finding is challenging everything we thought we knew about ourselves. The brain is an impossibly complex network of nearly 100 billion neurons, each making thousands of connections. This silent, subconscious network processes millions of bits of information every second. Your conscious mind? It handles about 40. Think about that disparity. While you're consciously deciding between coffee or tea, your brain has already analyzed sensory data, cross-referenced memories, calculated probabilities, and initiated a motor response. The decision was likely made long before you felt like you made it. This isn't just a quirky fact, it's a fundamental challenge to our identity. If our choices are bubbling up from a biological black box we have no direct access to, then who are we? Dr. Thorne. So, who is the puppet and who is the puppet master? To find out, we have to explore the strange frontiers of the mind. We'll meet people whose brains have been split in two, creating 2 separate consciousnesses in one body. We'll dive into the world of sleepwalkers who can perform complex actions with no conscious awareness whatsoever. We'll even see how modern marketing and technology are learning to speak directly to your subconscious, bypassing your rational mind entirely. This is the story of the silent war for control happening inside your head every single moment. The battle between intuition and intention, instinct and intellect. The question is no longer just philosophical, it's scientific. So let's begin. Are you ready to meet the stranger who's been running your life? Dr. Thorne. So, who is this stranger running your life? To meet them, we don't need to look far. In fact, let's try a simple experiment. Right now, I want you to decide to do something simple. Lift your index finger. Don't do it yet. Just decide in your own time when you're going to do it. Ready? Go. You felt that, didn't you? A distinct moment of decision. Now, followed by the action. It feels instantaneous. The thought becomes the deed. For decades, that's how science saw it. First your conscious decision, then the brain's signal to the muscles, then the movement. It's intuitive, it makes sense, and as we discovered in the 1980s, it's completely wrong. The ghost in the machine leaves footprints, and neuroscientist Benjamin Libet was the first to find them. On screen, Dr. Thorne walks towards one of the large screens, which now lights up with a diagram of a brain with an EEG cap. Dr. Thorne. Libet's experiment was deceptively simple. He wired subjects to an EEG to measure brain activity and asked them to do exactly what you just did, flex their wrist whenever they felt the urge. The only catch, they had to watch a special clock and note the exact moment they first became aware of their intention to move. What he found sent a shockwave through both neuroscience and philosophy. The brain activity associated with initiating the movement, a signal called the readiness potential, didn't happen after the conscious decision. It didn't even happen at the same time. It happened, on average, over half a second before the person felt the urge to act. Let me repeat that. Your brain has already started the process of acting before you are even aware you've decided to act. The story you tell yourself, that you consciously initiated the action, is a reconstruction. You're not the author, you're the press secretary, reporting on a decision that was already made in a back room. This isn't just a neurological curiosity. It's a fundamental challenge to the notion of free will. If your brain is a step ahead of your conscious mind, who's really calling the shots? This subconscious pilot isn't just making tiny decisions about when to flex a finger. Sometimes it takes full control of the entire vehicle for hours at a time, while the conscious driver is completely asleep. We're talking about somnambulism, or sleepwalking. A sleepwalker's brain is a battleground. The motor cortex, which controls movement, is wide awake. They can navigate rooms, speak, even drive a car. But the prefrontal cortex, the seat of rational thought, self-awareness, and conscious control, is almost entirely offline. They are a body in motion without a mind at the helm, a living demonstration of the brain's terrifying autonomy. The stranger isn't just a whisper in your head, it's a ghost that can walk and talk. This split between action and awareness reveals just how divided the mind can be. But what happens when the brain itself is physically divided? When the two hemispheres of the mind are surgically separated, and two distinct consciousnesses are forced to share a single skull? The answer is stranger than you can possibly imagine. Dr. Thorne, inside every one of our skulls, there are two semi-independent brains, a left and a right hemisphere. They are in constant, instantaneous communication via a massive superhighway of over 200 million nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. It's the bridge that allows for a unified, singular sense of self. But what happens if you cut that bridge? For a small number of patients with debilitating epilepsy, severing the corpus callosum is a last resort, a drastic but life-saving surgery that quarantines the electrical storms of a seizure to one side of the brain. It also creates one of the most fascinating and bizarre scenarios in all of science: two minds in one body. These split-brain patients appear completely normal at first. They walk, they talk, their personality is intact. But pioneering researchers like Michael Gazzaniga devised clever experiments that revealed the shocking truth. They exploited a quirk of our anatomy. Information from your left field of vision is processed by your right brain hemisphere, and information from your right field of vision is processed by your left. In a normal brain, this information is instantly shared. But in a split brain, each hemisphere is on its own. Dr. Thorne, now here's the crucial part. For most people, the left hemisphere is the dominant center for language and logic. It's the one that talks. The right hemisphere is largely nonverbal, but it excels at spatial recognition and visual patterns. So you have a talker and a doer trapped in silence together. In one experiment, a patient was flashed the word key to their left visual field, which goes only to the nonverbal right brain. When asked what he saw, the patient, speaking from his left brain, replied, "I saw nothing." As far as his language center was concerned, that was the truth. It saw nothing. But when asked to reach under a screen with his left hand, which is controlled by the right hemisphere, and pick out what he saw from a group of objects, the hand immediately and confidently picked up a key. The conscious, talking part of the man was baffled by what his own hand was doing. Two separate streams of knowledge existed in one person. One knew the word, the other didn't, and they couldn't talk to each other. But here is where it gets truly strange. When Gazzaniga asked the patient why his left hand picked up the key, the left brain didn't say, "I don't know." It instantly invented a story, a plausible but completely fabricated reason. The patient might say, "Oh, I was trying to find the key to my house." This phenomenon, called confabulation, revealed the left brain's role as our inner narrator, our interpreter. It's a storyteller, desperate to create a coherent narrative for our actions, even when it has no idea what the real motivation is. It proves we often act first and ask questions, or rather, invent answers, later. Sometimes, this internal division leads to outright conflict. Patients have reported their left hand, controlled by the right brain, stubbing out a cigarette the right hand has just lit, or one hand trying to button a shirt while the other hand follows behind, unbuttoning it. It is a literal war for control played out by the patient's own limbs. This reveals a profound truth. Our unified consciousness is not a given. It's a fragile coalition, a story our brain tells itself. These extreme cases are a window into the more subtle divisions within our own intact minds, the constant negotiation between our impulsive desires and our rational plans. The stories we tell ourselves are a powerful force in shaping our reality. But what happens when someone else learns how to write those stories for us, influencing our actions without our awareness? If you want to understand how the hidden persuaders of the modern world are speaking directly to the stranger in your head, make sure you don't miss the...
If someone else gets a hold of the pen, what if the cues that drive our subconscious decisions aren't random, but are deliberately placed in our path by people who want to influence us? This isn't science fiction. It's a psychological phenomenon known as priming, and it's happening to you all day, every day. Priming is the art of the invisible nudge. It's the idea that exposing you to one stimulus can influence your response to a subsequent one without you ever connecting the two. Think of it as leaving clues for the stranger in your head. In one landmark study, researchers had subjects unscramble sentences. For one group, the sentences contained words subtly associated with old age: Florida, wrinkle, bingo. The other group got neutral words. The test wasn't the unscrambling. The real test was what happened after. On screen, Dr. Thorne gestures to a screen behind him, which now shows an animated recreation of the experiment. Dr. Thorne continued. Researchers secretly timed how long it took for each participant to walk down the hall after leaving the room. The results were astounding. The group primed with the elderly words walked significantly more slowly than the control group. When asked, not a single one of them was aware of the theme of the words, nor did they feel any older. Their behavior was altered, completely beneath the radar of their conscious mind. Their left brain interpreter had no story to tell because it didn't even know a story had been written. This isn't just a party trick for psychologists. It's the multi-billion-dollar foundation of modern advertising and marketing. Every element of a store's environment is meticulously crafted to prime you. The slow, relaxing music isn't just for ambiance. Studies show it makes you take more time and consequently spend more money. The smell of baking bread pumped into the air near the entrance, it's not just to make you hungry. It's a primal cue for comfort and domesticity, priming you to feel safe and let your guard down. Today, this has evolved into a new frontier, neuromarketing. Companies are no longer guessing what might influence you. They are watching your brain react in real time. Using fMRI scanners and EEG headsets, they show people ads, packaging, and products, and monitor the subconscious emotional response in the brain's pleasure and reward centers. They are searching for the buy button, a combination of colors, sounds, and symbols that can bypass your rational, budget-conscious prefrontal cortex and speak directly to your impulsive, subconscious desires. They are learning the native language of the stranger in your head. The comforting sense of control you feel as you choose one brand of soda over another may just be the final echo of a decision that was engineered for you seconds, minutes, or even days before. Our brains are wired to create meaning and seek patterns, a trait that helped us survive. But that same wiring now makes us vulnerable to a world saturated with carefully crafted primes, all vying for control. The battle is no longer just internal. It's a war for your attention, fought on the silent battlefield of your subconscious. So if our choices can be shaped by these hidden external forces, what about the forces within? The deeply embedded biases we swear we don't have. Are they too a product of the stranger's secret work? We're about to find out. This scene ends. Open on Dr. Thorne in the studio.
Behind him, screens flicker with a rapid, chaotic montage of movie clips, news headlines, and advertisements, all subtly reinforcing cultural stereotypes. Dr. Thorne continued, "We've seen how the smell of bread or a few carefully chosen words can prime your subconscious and alter your behavior. These are the tricks of the external persuaders. But what about the priming that's been happening your entire life? The constant subtle drip of associations fed to you by culture, media, and experience. You may consciously believe in equality, fairness, and judging people on their merits. But what does the stranger in your head believe? The uncomfortable truth is that our brains are built on bias. Our brain is a pattern-matching machine designed for efficiency. To navigate a complex world, it creates shortcuts, mental rules of thumb called heuristics. It learns that fire is hot, sharp things are dangerous, and sweet things are good to eat. But it also learns other, more insidious patterns from the world around it. It subconsciously links concepts based on repeated exposure. And when those links involve people, it creates something called implicit bias. This isn't conscious prejudice. It's a cognitive glitch, an automatic association that operates entirely outside of your awareness. And we can prove it. On screen, Dr. Thorne stands beside a screen displaying the clean, simple interface of a test. Dr. Thorne continued, "This is the implicit association test, or IAT. It's a simple tool that reveals the subconscious connections your brain has formed. The test flashes images, say faces of different races or genders, and asks you to categorize them along with positive or negative words as quickly as you can. It doesn't measure your conscious beliefs. It measures the microscopic hesitation, the split-second cognitive stutter when you're asked to pair a concept your brain doesn't automatically associate. That tiny delay is the fingerprint of the stranger at work. When neuroscientists watch a brain taking this test, they see something fascinating. When faced with a pair that contradicts a deep-seated stereotype, a small almond-shaped region deep in the brain often lights up, the amygdala. This is part of our primitive threat detection system. It's the same area that fires when we see a snake. Your subconscious brain can react to a person from a different group with the same primal alarm it reserves for a predator, even while your conscious mind is thinking, be fair, be open-minded. This isn't a theoretical exercise. These subconscious stutters have monumental real-world consequences. In study after study, identical resumes are sent to employers with only one difference. The name at the top is changed to sound stereotypically white or non-white. The results are consistently, depressingly predictable. The white-sounding name gets dramatically more callbacks. These are hiring managers who would almost certainly deny any conscious prejudice, yet their subconscious pilot is making biased decisions for them. The storyteller in their left brain then creates a plausible reason. The other candidate was just a better fit. So, we are primed by our world to form automatic biases that can influence our most important decisions, all while our conscious mind is blissfully unaware. It's a sobering thought. Are we simply slaves to this secret accidental programming? Is there any way to fight back against the stranger when we don't even know what it's thinking? The answer lies in the brain's most remarkable ability, its power to change itself. And that's where our journey takes us next. This scene ends. Open on Dr. Thorne in the studio. Behind him is the image from the end of the last part, a neural network where new pathways are beginning to form. Dr. Thorne continued, "For 5 episodes, we've journeyed into the shadows of the mind and met the stranger running the show, the silent subconscious pilot shaped by evolution, experience, and the subtle cues of the world around us. We've seen that its biases are not moral failings, but cognitive shortcuts. So, if we are programmed to be on autopilot, are we simply passengers along for the ride? Is there any way to take back the controls? The answer, thankfully, is yes. But it's not a hostile takeover. It's a partnership. Neuroscience often speaks of 2 systems of thought. System 1 is the autopilot, fast, intuitive, emotional, and always on. It's the stranger. System 2 is the thinker, slow, deliberate, logical, and energy intensive. It's the conscious you that you identify with. Because the thinker is lazy and requires huge amounts of energy, the brain defaults to the autopilot for over 95% of its operations. The secret to regaining control isn't to drive manually all the time. That would be exhausting. The secret is knowing when to grab the wheel. Remember Benjamin Libet's experiment? It showed that the brain begins to act before we are consciously aware of the decision. It was seen as a major blow to free will. But Libet himself discovered something else, something often overlooked. While the impulse to act comes from the subconscious, there is a tiny window, just a fraction of a second, where the conscious mind can step in and say no. He called it a veto. This may be the true nature of our freedom. Not a free will, but a free won't. Our power lies not in authoring every impulse, but in our ability to audit them, to pause, reflect, and override the autopilot suggestion. This is a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained. Practices like mindfulness aren't just about relaxation. They are neurological weightlifting for your prefrontal cortex. They train your conscious thinker to pay attention to the autopilot's whispers, creating the crucial mental space needed to exercise that veto. By simply being aware of your own mental shortcuts and implicit biases, you drag them out of the shadows and into the light of conscious scrutiny. This is the beautiful, challenging truth. You are not a singular unified self. You are a coalition. You are the autopilot with its ancient wisdom and flawed biases, and you are the thinker with its capacity for reason and reflection. Control isn't a fixed state. It's a dynamic process of negotiation between these two systems. The autopilot will always offer the path of least resistance. It will follow the old maps, the cultural priming, the comfortable shortcuts. The thinker's job is to look at the horizon and ask, is this really where I want to go? So, who's in control? You are. Not the simplistic you that feels like it's in the driver's seat every second, but the deeper you.
The world is full of fascinating paradoxes, isn't it? We hope today's facts truly bent your mind. If you're ready for more daily revelations that challenge the norm, subscribe to Mindbenders. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss a new video. Until next time, keep questioning.